everybody, and welcome to part 4 of how I made Daryl doll tutorial. A little notice is that the boots for the original doll were black and these are white. Not that it makes a difference, but I figured I'd give you all a heads up. You'll need your shoes, some sandpaper, paint palette with your paint, palette knife, floating medium, matte varnish, paintbrushes, one for the paint and one for the chalk pastels, matte Mod Podge, makeup sponges, a towel, and black and brown chalk pastels. The rod is not a necessity, but it does help when you're painting the shoes. As you can see, what I'm doing here is I am cutting a small piece of sandpaper and I am sanding the shoes. What this does is it creates tooth for the Mod Podge that I am going to put on before I use the acrylic paint. This way it'll help the paint stick a lot better than if I was just to use Mod Podge, because most generally if you just put Mod Podge on a smooth surface, it just tends to chip right off. And if you were to put paint on top of the Mod Podge, well, I'm pretty sure you can imagine what would happen. You would just have big chunks of paint that would go bye-bye, and you would be totally sad about it. And as you can see here, I am sponging the Mod Podge onto the shoes, and then I take my acrylic paint and my floating medium, mix it well, and then I start painting my shoes with the brown paint. The floating medium is not a necessity. You can use water, but it's just my personal preference. I find that floating medium works better than water does. I don't know why, it just does. But and sometimes not even the water is necessary. It just really depends on how thick your paint is, because you want paint that'll go on thin but smooth. Yes, it may take more coats to cover it the way you want it to, but it's totally worth it in the end, because if you get clumpy paint, sometimes it does happen to chip off, and that just makes you sad. And I know it would make me sad. As you can see here, I'm putting more Mod Podge on for the second coat of acrylic paint. I'm just making sure that my paint will stick and not come off later on when I'm working. But I mean, you don't have to, but this is just the way I do things. But everybody has their own technique that they like. So, whatever suits you. I mean, like I said, you don't have to do it the way I do. I do things differently. As you can see, I'm going in with the second coat of paint. And it's supposed to be a light brown, but it does look kind of like a reddish orangish color. But these are supposed to be artist's acrylic, so they're really pigmented and thick. But later on in the video, I end up taking a regular, it's like a chocolate brown, and I go over the shoe with it. As you can see, I believe I'm sponging it on. It's hard to tell because, I can't see anything in my hand. And this video was made back in June, and here it is December. But anyway, I'm sponging the brown, darker brown paint on. It's also to tone down the oranginess, but it's also to give it a more grungy look, considering that if you look at Daryl Dixon's outfit, everything is dirty and dingy. But I don't expect you to go to the dry cleaner when you are in the zombie apocalypse. Now here I am with the paintbrush going into it with the brown. I think I was trying to do like the deeper details. I was trying to go on with like the darker color. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with, I believe it's called a dry brushing technique. But it gets into the crevice and then you can like wipe it off and it'll stay into the crevice. And here I'm taking my brown but black chalk pastels and I'm just kind of tapping the powder onto them, and what it does is it gives it a grungy, dirty look. And I mean, if you don't want to have dirty, grungy looking shoes. That's okay. I mean, it's up to you, but as you can see, it gave a more desired look. And since I'm finished, I took my matte varnish and I'm sponging it onto my shoes. And once that's dried, then your shoes are complete. And as you see, and once they're dry, they won't be shiny. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. See you in the next one. Bye guys!